Blog Talk Radio.
Some of the guests on this podcast will express their viewpoints based on their own research, and those views aren't necessarily those of Blog Talk Radio, Cursed Net, Breakthrough Radio, or its affiliates. This podcast will also be available on iTunes under the keyword Cursed Net. Hello, everybody. My name is Byron LeBeau, and welcome to Cursed Net, Breakthrough Radio. And I want to welcome back Captain Joe. How you doing, Joe?
Doing good, Byron, and thank you for letting us come on with another powerful testimony. And the one we have tonight, you mentioned his name was Glenn, and yes. I came across Glenn's story on our Alien Resistance message board that we have on Google, and I saw his story, and it was quite fascinating. We had already been doing these testimonies, and I was kind of putting a word out there through the message board that if anybody had a testimony similar that we could share, we'd be looking for those. And I saw his, and I was just amazed at what he's gone through. And a lot of the testimonies that we've had on are from people who have been pretty much free of their experiences for quite some time now. But Glenn is just recently come to the truth. I mean, very recently, and he'll tell you some of that in his story. But I had a chance to talk with him for quite a lengthy period and got to know him a little bit. And you brought up a couple key points, like going down the rabbit hole and getting caught with hooks. And what you're going to hear with this particular testimony is going to allude to open doors. Be careful of the doors you open and the doors that the enemy makes available. And that's one thing that I want you to really listen to carefully. And we do welcome Glenn back to the truth. And Glenn, glad to have you on this evening.
Thank you. Hi, Byron.
Yeah, hi, Glenn. How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me on.
Okay. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about some of the things that you were curious about as a younger man?
Sure. Well, I grew up Catholic, okay, but I've always had this fear of aliens. That's what really brought this on. I've had this fear basically my entire life, and it was just last year that I decided to face this thing head on. And of course, previously I've pretty much fallen for every trap that there's been. I was starting to believe in reincarnation, a lot of the New Age stuff, they're so tactful in how they do it. A lot of the times you don't even realize that you're falling for it. So, and there were times before this that, I was doubting the Bible. I wasn't, I read it once probably, but I wasn't reading it on a daily basis or anything like that. And I was actually doubting the existence of Jesus Christ, too, before this.
Okay, so you were doubting the Bible. Did you believe in God when you were doubting the Bible?
Yes.
Okay, so you believed in God, but when you say you were doubting the Bible, were you doubting either the stories themselves or some of the details of the stories, or what exactly were you doubting?
I was doubting some of the stories, like I put in the little article that I wrote that Joe came across, that I was doubting, like Noah's Ark, that kind of stuff. I was really, from a personal standpoint, I was seeing it as kind of children's stories. But I wasn't specific enough in believing in Jesus Christ. This all started this past summer. Like, we're talking August 15th, 2008, around there. So I finally decided to find out for sure, because I was having trouble sleeping, that kind of thing. And I didn't understand how I could be so fearful. So what I did, I figured in my mind, and of course I was curious. This is all about curiosity and, of course, going too far. But I was also seeking the truth purposely. So I was seeking the truth no matter what the truth would be. So if it turned out that aliens were true, that's fine. You know, I was ready for what was the truth.
Before August, sorry, let's use August as a touching point. Before August of 2008, how in fact did you feel about these aliens, and how would you connect them with UFOs?
I was very
What did
fearful.
you think in your mind they were?
I was very fearful, and I couldn't understand what they were because I could not accept aliens and accept the Bible. I could not accept both. For some reason, I could not put both together. So either one was true, one wasn't. Well, I'll explain exactly what I found out.
Okay.
So what happened was I looked on the internet, and I figured my first starting point was there must be real footage out there. So that's where I started. So I started for weeks looking through the internet for real footage, and there's so much fake stuff out there, 99% of it is fake. And, I found what I felt was real footage. And so from there, I started watching it, and one of the interesting things that happened this is way before I started filming. This is just from watching this person's footage. I found one person that was filming these things, and I started noticing crows showing up. And I never had crows in my backyard or on my property that I ever noticed. And suddenly, crows are showing up, and I'd be going for walks with my wife, and it was like the crows were following us around the neighborhood, like they'd be on every corner. And and of course I dismissed it, but I did write him a message, and I said the weirdest thing has started happening. Crows have started showing up, and I kind of instantly knew it was related to watching his videos. I decided to pull a camcorder that I won the previous December. So I decided to pull it out of the box. I wasn't using it, and I was feeling guilty for not using it. So I decided to use it, and my goal was to see if I can replicate his footage, because he had unbelievable footage. Like, I mean, there were, the gray aliens with the black almond eyes. They were all over the place. He had UFOs. You name it. It was unbelievable, the footage that he had. Now I need to take it to the next step and try to replicate what he has on film. And that would be my proof, because if I film it and I'm getting exactly what he has on film, that's proof to me.
Okay, all right. Well, at least there's a rationale there as to as this. Now, again, I want to get into the camcorder, but what about these crows that were showing up? Did these crows only start showing up when you were searching for the real footage of aliens, or were they always around your home, or what?
No, they weren't always around my home. They only showed up once I started watching his videos. All I can say, and that I learned later, was that there's an actual evil presence through watching the videos.
How did you go about filming these aliens? Did you have a plan that you were using for this?
No, I just went out one night to film. There was no plan, really, and I did 99% of my filming right in my backyard. And I'm in a subdivision, so there's homes around me, but there's a tree line right in my backyard that separates us from the next property. So what I did, I went out one night, and this story may not amaze people, this first story, but I can guarantee you it gets better. But I started looking around for something to film, and I noticed something in the clouds, and all of a sudden these alien faces started appearing in the clouds, like hundreds of them. So I started filming them, and they were were crystal clear. Like it wasn't like it could be mistaken or something like that. And a few of them were grinning. And what I compare the grin to is it's like an evil grin, and I compared it to the Joker and Batman. You know, that kind of big grin. So that's what I got the first time, and of course that's when I started. That was the whole beginning, and I started posting those for, you know, the world to see, kind of thing. Now the footage is started. The next footage I took was daytime footage, and I got them pretty clear, right in the daytime, right in my backyard. And that's, you know, the gray aliens. There was a number of them right in my backyard. And, of course, this blew my mind. Like, when you see this stuff in person, it's mind-blowing. Like, I'm still trying to cope with the reality of this. So, so, you know, they have the black almond eyes, and there was one that I mentioned to you, Byron, when we spoke, with the triangle head. Yeah. Which I saw in some other footage too.
Right. And of course the triangle head is that's what appears in the snake-like object. Some would compare them to the so-called praying mantis, because that's exactly what they have, a large triangular type of head. And they do come up in the abduction phenomena, in particular, this particular type of entity. And for now, you haven't really made up your mind exactly what these entities were at this point, I assume, right?
Oh no, I did. That's the part that you know, I realized the mistake I made, because right away I knew what they were. I knew they weren't aliens. I knew immediately that they were demons. Like, I knew for sure that they were demons.
Okay. Well, for people who are listening to this interview, give me one example of how you knew for sure, you could rule out for sure they weren't ETs from far, far away. There's something more to it than that.
Okay. You know, like I say, the feeling came to me right away, and it's hard to explain. Like when people feel that they've been told something by God, it's hard. I've noticed that it's hard for people to say it. All that I can say is that it was an absolute knowing. It was an absolute knowing of what they really were, and all of a sudden I knew there's no such thing as aliens whatsoever. There's no good aliens. There's no bad aliens, and there's no life elsewhere other than here. And so all of this came to me, and to the point where every night I was just clinging to the Bible. You know, I started reading the Bible every single night.
Okay, so in other words, ironically, the search for alien life led you right back to the Bible.
Absolutely, absolutely. I mean, I think they thought they had me. I mean, I really think, because I spoke with Joe about this too. I don't think I was saved at that point. You know, I'll tell you, I got saved pretty fast when I saw these, though.